Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. WildMax1 bringing another Raid Shadow Legends video. Today we're going to be doing another champion guide, this time on one of the newly released champions that is already shaking up the Hydra and Chimera Clash meta. I am talking about the Void Affinity defense champ from the Bannerlords faction, Titus Blackplume. Today we're going to be breaking down his kit, I'll be showing you different ways to build him, and finally we're going to be doing a Demon Lord, Hydra, and Arena showcase. So with that, let's get into it. So Titus Blackplume is the July 2025 fusion, and there's been a lot of hype around this champion, and for good reason. His A2 scales its damage based off of shield value, which makes him an incredibly powerful enabler for Infinity Shields and high-end content like Hydra and Chimera. Now, we've seen Infinity Shield champions get nerfed before, talking about U-Corpul and Cadaver, but in this case, Plarium has assured us they're not going to be touching Titus. So, as a result, we've seen him dominating boss content pretty much across the board when built into the right team composition. But even outside of Infinity Shield setups, Titus is still an incredibly strong support that offers a great kit for both PvE and the arena. So with that, let's go take a look at it. Starting with his A1, Raven Blade. Attacks one enemy, has a 40 booking up to a 65 with the Sniper Mastery % chance of placing a block active skills debuff for 2 turns. Cannot be resisted if he's under a shield. So Titus's whole kit is going to be based off of him being empowered off of shields. So that's going to be a common theme you'll see throughout his skills. Whenever an ally counterattacks, teams up with allies to attack, or instantly activates a skill, has a 40% chance, up to 60, of placing a block active skills for 2 turns on the target enemy. If there are multiple champs with this skill, only one will activate. So this has application in both arena and in PvE content. Really strong, also very relevant in Chimera clan boss, for example, on the Viper form. Great A1. Looking now at his A2, Student of War, and this is all the all-hyped ability here. 5-turn booking down to a 3-turn cooldown, attacks one enemy, always critical if he's under a shield, and gains that damage boost equal to the value of the shield that's on him. Second part of the skill, removes all debuffs from all allies if the target is killed by this ability, and if the target survives, places a provoke on all enemies for 1 turn that cannot be resisted as long as he's under shield. So even if you are using this in the arena, this still has a lot of relevancy with that provoke and the cleanse, really strong. And of course, in PvE, as we're all seeing, ridiculous damage if built in the right composition. On his A3, Androx Confidant, 5-turn booking down to a 3-turn cooldown. Places ally protect, increase attack, and increase speed, along with a 40% turn meter fill on a single ally for 2 turns. Instantly activates the skill at the end of an ally's turn if that ally has no buffs and their HP is lower than 100. So the conditional part of this skill is actually really good and not too hard to trigger. That can easily happen in Chimera or Hydra when your team is taking damage and there's buff strips or buff steals. In the arena where there's constantly buff removal and damage coming out, this is going to be going quite a bit. So he's going to be great at ramping your team, increasing their damage, and making sure that they stay alive. And finally, looking at his passive for Lord and Land. Each time an enemy hits an ally, that ally's next attack will deal 10% more damage, stacking up to 100%, so double damage if they get 10 hits. The damage increase resets after that ally deals damage. This is really good in pretty much all content, just a nice passive damage boost for your team. In a lot of Infinity Shield compositions with Titus, he will usually be the slowest champ there just to make sure the shield never falls off of him. And so chances are he's going to be taking quite a few hits, so this can also increase his own damage quite a bit in a lot of encounters. And for his aura, we have Void ally HP in all battles by 40%. I think that might be the most in the game, right up there tied with like Odin's Void ally in arena. Speed aura for also 40%. Can be really good in some content, especially in like Cursed City or Doom Tower. Now, looking at his total stats here, we have a defense-based champion with a healthy amount of defense, over 1,500. That's great. Attack doesn't matter on him. 18.5 for the HP. That's fine. 97 speed, a little bit slow, but again, you don't really mind it being slow. Synergizes nicely with that passive, and in a lot of compositions, he will be built as your slowest champion because you want to make sure that you keep that shield on him to get the most out of his kit. And he also has instant activates on his A3, and the effect from his A1 can be added to ally attacks, so you don't really need him built that fast. So when it comes to building your Titus Blackplume and what stats to prioritize, I'm going to go with 2 different builds for this video that I'm going to be exploring. The first one we're going to talk about is that big clan boss, big PvE damage version with that A2 and the massive shields. So Accuracy, you're not going to need any because any effects that he has, like for example, his A1 block active skills, becomes unresistible while he's under shield, and he's always going to be under shield. For resistance, you want to have as much as you need for the content you're going to be running to ensure or to give you a best chance that your shield is not going to be stripped off of him. So if it's not a protected shield, or if you're not running with somebody that's going to be boosting his resistance through increased resistance, for example, or some other passive, then make sure he has enough for whatever content you're running. To get the most out of his damage, crit damage and defense, crank both of them. For crit, you obviously don't need to worry about it because his A2 is an automatic crit while he is under shield. Now, the one thing to consider here is HP. You want to build him for maximum damage with as little HP as possible. The way his A2 actually scales and is calculated, for whatever reason, his HP, if it's higher relative to his defense, that actually drops the damage on his A2. So crank the defense and no HP. Don't even glyph it, unless you're worried about survivability, which you shouldn't because he'll be under a massive shield. And for that second build that we're talking about for Arena, that slow, supportive one, think UDK. So accuracy doesn't really matter. Resistance as high as possible. Speed as low as possible. And then crank up that defense. And HP in this case doesn't really matter as much because you're not, the way that I'm going to recommend that you use him for that build specifically, you don't really need to worry about his A2 damage. So with that, let's go take a look at the builds and the gear. So when it comes to gear sets for your Titus, for PvE specifically, so if you're looking for that top damage on clan bosses or any kind of PvE encounters, the top set that you could be using on your Titus is, without a doubt, Merciless. Merciless gives you the cooldown to your skill that you need to get your A2 off more often during an encounter. It also provides you with nice crit damage, 35% ignore defense, which is the most of any set. Now, 9-piece Merciless isn't even necessary on this champion and is probably not even the most optimal. So the 50% chance to get an extra turn, you don't really need that on Titus. It does help, again, bring his A2 off cooldown a little faster, but better yet for PvE encounters is pairing up 6-piece Merciless with a 2-piece Zeal. So getting even more crit damage and then more flat damage percent for him, because he's going to be full health in those compositions. He's going to be having that shield. His health shouldn't be going down, so he's going to be getting that full bonus from Zeal for those encounters. If you don't have 6-piece Merciless, then any of the ignore percent defense sets will be good for you. So Lethal, he doesn't need the crit rate from Lethal, but the ignore percent defense is great. The Savage set, the Instinct set, any one of those is going to be really good on him. You can even throw 2-piece Cruel on him to pair up with those just to get even more ignore percent defense, which is going to do the most for increasing his damage, especially against really high defense targets like the Chimera. Now, if your account's not progressed enough to the point where you're going to be looking to build your Titus in ignore percent defense sets, don't worry about it. There's a lot of different ones you can go for here. You can put him in a shield set, bring his own shield. You can put him in Relentless or Reflex, anything that resets the ability cooldowns on him. If you want more A3s, if he's playing more of a supportive role for your composition. However, if you're not looking to go for PvE content or not focus on PvE content for his build, and you're going for Arena, then that opens up a lot of potential creative options for you. One of the best sets for him in that case becomes Stone Skin. As for most champions in the Arena, having one-turn Stone Skin in today's meta is really important, but Titus actually lends himself really well to being under 2-turn Stone Skin and as slow as possible. So give him the UDK treatment in this case. You want to make sure that he's got that buff on him, build him high resistance, and then your whole team's going to benefit from that passive damage boost that he's going to have, and he's going to be kicking in with those A3s automatically whenever there's going to be any kind of ally attack, and he's also going to be applying the block active skills from his A1. So that's going to be another option, is to build him slow, high resist, and just benefit passively from everything that he brings to the team as a support, as opposed to a damage dealer. Or you could even build him hybrid if you wanted to. You could build him with really high defense, crit damage, maybe even some resistance if you wanted to, super slow, and then when it comes around to him, when it's his turn, assuming you have a shield built on his team, he's going to absolutely delete one of the enemy champions with that A2 and a shield on him. Now, when it comes to my Titus, I have built him as a PvE focus. I want to make sure that he is a clan boss killer. So Demon Lord, Hydra, Chimera, any one of those he's going to be absolutely smacking. So what I went with is the 6-piece Merciless build. I happen to have 2-piece Stone Skin on him, which is unfortunate, but these were really well statted for him, so I just decided to keep them, even though we are getting some HP from it. For his individual pieces, I've gone with a defense ring with defense substats, crit damage amulet, defense on the banner, crit damage with crit damage ascension on the gloves, defense with defense on the chest plate, and I do have him with some speed on the boots. I don't even have that fully ascended. For my total stats on Titus, we have just under 40k HP, almost 6k defense, 233 speed, some crit rate, but again, this could be 0 as far as I'm concerned, or 15 could be his base, and then 301 crit damage. I do have him with a little bit of resistance, just kind of incidentally, but this actually is enough for all the content that I'm running him in, because I pair him up with some champions that bring increased resistance buffs and have some passive buff increase for him. So I'm also happen to be running him with a lot of Brogni, so he's not at really any risk of having that shield stolen or stripped off. So you may be saying to yourself, hey, well, Max1, that's great. Happy that you have an Infinity Shield composition you can pull off, and I don't have a Brogni, I don't have a Wixwell, so I'm not even going to bother building him like this or attempting this. Well, there are a couple of other options that exist. So one of the ones is going with Emic. Emic Trunkheart does have a shield growth capability with his A1. So if you pair him in a composition with a bunch of ally attackers, you can continually grow that shield and you can still pull this off. The other way is by utilizing the Blood Shield set. So if you happen to have Blood Shield accessories for your Titus, he can actually grow his own shield because it scales off the damage that he does. So he's going to be dealing more damage, shield gets bigger, and then he's going to deal more damage with his next A2, and he kind of grows his own shield, especially if you have a bunch of these stacked up on him. It actually goes pretty quickly. So don't immediately discount this just because you don't have a Brogni or Wixwell on your team. Take a look to see if you have Blood Shield. Take a look to see if you have Emic, and you might still be able to make it work. Now, if you don't have any of those options, or if you're watching this video 8 months from now, from the posting of it, and he's already been nerfed, then there's other ways you can build him. You can utilize him more as a traditional support, especially when it comes to the arena. So one of the options that I'm going to show here is building him just like a UDK, and I'm using my UDK's pieces on him. So in this case, we've just thrown on as much resistance as we can. Keep in mind, I'm also not running the resistance mastery, so he would have another 50. So just over 600 resistance with this build. Still 5,300 defense, as slow as possible. So you'd run him on a composition with somebody that has a shield, some stone skin, maybe a lightning cage, and the high resist. That would ensure that he would keep the shield and the stone skin for as long as possible while passively benefiting your team. And the slow turn, make sure that the slow speed rather, make sure that he's not going to be taking turns and not going to be outrunning those buffs, hopefully for the duration of that arena match. So this is definitely an option for you if you want to bring him into the arena as a support and not a damage dealer. But as you can also see, he still is sitting with 173 crit damage. So you can actually put some crit damage on him, and then because of that, again, no crit, and then because of the shield that's going to hopefully remain on him because of all that resistance, he's still going to be able to smack a little bit with that A2. So a lot of creative options for Titus in the arena. For my relic, I'm using a Cat's Gaze. It's one of the best PvE damage relics. It's not very widely available. I fully recognize that. If you don't have one, then one of the ones that I use as a stand-in for a lot of my damage dealers is Malefic Talon. It's so good, just gives you crit damage and a damage proc. I use this on the majority of my damage dealers, except for the couple that I have that use Cat's Gaze. If you're not going to be going for, and another one that I suppose you could say is somehow both more luxury and similar to Cat's Gaze, but not quite as good, in my opinion, is the Covetous Passion, which is one of the mythical relics that's available. So if you do have that one, that is a pretty great stand-in for Cat's Gaze. It gives you the Shatter buff, which effectively does the same thing as that Ignore % defense from the Cat's Gaze, except it's not conditional on the Shatter buff itself. But if you're going to be in a buff extending composition, then it's not really going to matter. So Covetous Passion, Cat's Gaze, Malefic Talon, all great for damage dealing. If you're not going to be focused on damage dealing with your Titus, he has a turn meter boost. So one of the ones that I like to use on a lot of my turn meter boosters is the Journal of Necrotos. Gives him some tanky stats along with a chance to increase the turn meter boost that he applies from his A3. And while we're here on the relics, the one other thing I wanted to mention is Volcardiac Heart. So Titus, if you're going for that damage infinity shield composition, there are 3 shields that you can grow. You can grow a shield set, so that would be just your typical shield set. You can grow a skill shield, so Brogni's, right, his A3 in this case. Or you can grow Volcardiac's Heart Magma Shield. So right now the shield cap is at 1 million. So if you have all 3 of them, that is a total value of 3 million once they're fully stacked on Titus that you can use. In the showcases that we're going to be doing later in the video, you're going to see the damage he can do with only 1 stacked shield. So it's pretty incredible. If you have Volcardiac Heart and you're doing the Infinity Shield combo, make sure at least 1 champ in that composition is wearing it. So for the first showcase in today's video, as promised, we're going into Demon Lord Clan Boss on Ultra Nightmare. I've thrown Titus into an Infinity Shield composition, so we have Brogni for the growth and 3 extenders, and there's nothing special that I did with their speed tuning or anything like that. I just made sure that Titus was the slowest of the champions, and we're just going to go in on quick battle and see how much damage this does. I've already run this for my key for the day, but I just wanted to show it off in Ultra Nightmare and then once again in Brutal, just to show you how ridiculous the damage is here. 920 million on Ultra Nightmare. I mean, that's with Brogni too. If this was Wixwell, could potentially be much higher. Wixwell obviously faster at growing that shield, and also with the intercept buff, very helpful for Titus. But yeah, 920. I mean, you're not going to have any trouble if you have Wixwell and him, or Brogni and him, or an ally attack composition and Emic, or whatever, even a Blood Shield. You could try that out in Demon Lord Clan Boss. You have those ready to go, then you're pretty much set. My previous team that I did, I think I was doing an average of maybe 130 million on Ultra Nightmare. So this almost 7 times more damage. And here, 1.26 billion damage on Nightmare. I mean, it's just crazy the amount of damage that this champion does under shields. And this is currently only with 1 shield on him. So if I were to throw a shield set on one of these champions or add Volcardiac Heart for that Magma Shield, I can't even imagine how high this is going to get. So getting to the Hydra showcase of the video, we're going to be going into Nightmare Hydra. Obviously not saving this because Clash hasn't begun yet, but Titus is going to be doing all our damage. We have an Infinity Shield composition built around him with Brogni as our shield grower, Androck, Lady Mikage, and Mad Hatter as our shield extenders, and we have Fady there as a reset champion and also block buffs. So we're still bringing some of the relevant buffs to Hydra and debuffs such as Hex and block buffs. We still want to observe enough of the mechanics, and Hex especially is going to be very helpful because we're going to be putting up huge hits with Titus, and that splash damage is then going to be doing great things for the other heads as well, even though he's only hitting single target. So with that, let's take a look at the run. I'm going to skip a little bit ahead into the run because it does take some setup in the beginning, so it's a little bit slower. We're going to skip ahead to where we're already starting to do some pretty big hits. So here we are a few turns in. We've already set up all of our buffs. Brogni's already managed to use a couple of Cavern's Grasps to grow it a little bit, but it's nowhere near where it's going to be. So we're just going to go in with an A2 on no debuffs, 3.8 million hit on a decapitated head. That's already a hit that I would expect about halfway through the run for my best ninja composition with a stacking Erethi Coronet and his escalation passive. But here we have 15 boss turns in, 5 minutes in, we already have a huge hit like that coming through. It's pretty incredible. And we don't even have an increased defense, or excuse me, we don't have a decreased defense set up or anything like that. Yeah, it's just wild how much damage this does. So a couple things to note here. Brogni is my highest crit damage champion, so he's going to be the first one to be devoured by the Hydra. That is intentional. I want to make sure that we keep growing that shield on Titus in the beginning just to make sure we get this entire encounter under control. All right, let's take a look at how much damage he's going to be doing now. Boom, 29.6 million hit. 17 turns in, 5 minutes in. I mean, incredible. And we have not even gotten remotely close to fully growing the shield to where it's supposed to be. So yeah, we're seeing a little taste of how much damage we're going to be doing here, how quickly this is going to get out of hand, or how quickly it's going to go very right, depending on how you look at it. So 3 buffers and a reset champion, probably a little bit overkill. We can honestly even end up, if I optimize this a little bit more, can probably end up dropping one of the buff extenders here, adding in somebody like a Lydia just to make sure that we have all the relevant damage buffs up. There we go, increasing that shield value, getting there slowly. I just want to get one more hit with Titus here, and then we're gonna call that one. All right, here we go. Big hit incoming. Boom, 23.9. Not quite as much as the other one, but yeah. So the most damage that I've gotten with the hits, and again, we're currently growing 1 shield. So right now we are only growing the shield from Brogni that he's placed. We don't have we don't have Magma shield up. We don't have an artifact set shield up. If you add those to the table, Brogni can still grow those, and then you can stack up the total value of shields on Titus to 3 million base once you have it fully stacked up with all 3 of those. So I know not everybody has a Volcardiac heart, but just at least getting the artifact set shield and getting the skill-based shield is going to be just having both instead of one, massive difference in damage. So this is just one quick example. I'm going to wait for a little bit, stack up my shield a little more, and we're going to get right back into it a little bit further into the fight. Here we are a little bit further into the fight, and we have Brogni's already been devoured and come back, and Titus is ready to go. We've grown the shield a little bit more with the Cavern's Grasp, so we're going to go ahead. Big hit right now. We're going to see how much damage this is going to do. All right, here we go. Let's go. 34.6 million damage, killing pretty much all the heads outright because of the hex damage, the splash. Already at 200 million, 30 boss turns in. You could see this is absolutely insane. So if you're interested in seeing a full Hydra showcase where I really go through each of the champions' builds and I try to optimize this a little more, let me know down in the comments below. I'll be happy to do a showcase for that, because clearly this guy is redefining the way that we're going to look at Clash, and he's going to be challenging Trunda for that top spot and dominating in Demon Lord Clan Boss, as we already saw, and in Chimera as well. And finally, for the last showcase in today's video, we're going to be going into the arena, and we've built a team around Titus. Titus is still in the full damage build that I had him in before. I'm not going to swap around gear or masteries for him, but I still did want to show off what his passive and his A3 and stuff can do here. So Ancora is bringing the shield, the speed lead, the cleanse. Lady Mikage is there with Harima for the auto attack combo right there. And Titus is just going to be there to benefit the team with the A3 and with that A1 block active skill. So we're going to be going in on manual and hopefully going to be able to show this off right here. So they have a pretty tanky team there. They've got a UDK. They've got, here we go, shield going on him. They've got UDK. They've got our Mithrala. So let's go for an auto attack, or ally attack rather, on Mithrala. Keep in mind, once the shield is on our Titus, even though Mithrala is probably built in really high resistance, his A1 block active skills becomes irresistible. So we're going to go in. There it is. Boom. Skills are blocked, even on a Mithrala. Pretty incredible. That's really all I wanted to show off there. Now we're just going to let the rest play out on auto here. We have him going in with his A2. He's under a shield, so he provokes everybody because that becomes irresistible as well. So really good, actually, at countering these kind of high-resist teams. Like this was a UDK, a Mithrala, a Pythion, all champions traditionally built with a lot of resistance. But in this case, his irresistible abilities just cut right through that, and he was able to counter it effectively and set up Harima for the kill in this particular match. So still excellent in the arena, as we saw there. He built him slow like a UDK, and he's going to be coming in with ally attacks, putting up all those irresistible debuffs and disrupting the enemy team while still boosting your team's damage with his passive. And there you have it, everybody, the official Titus Blackplume Champion Guide. If you liked today's video, please consider liking and subscribing for more content in the future. Let me know down in the comments below if there's any other guides or showcases that you'd like to see on my channel. Thank you for watching today's video. Thank you for your time. Have a great day, and I'll catch you in the next one.